listener, and thank you so much for joining us. I am here today with Amy Balsters of Amy Nicole Floral, a floral design teacher and a social media maven. She is on Instagram and Instagram Live all the time. So hopefully, if you don't know about her, you definitely check her out because she always has so much, a vast array of knowledge to share with you. And she's just a lovely, lovely person. Super excited to talk about social media today with Amy. I was looking back at my episodes, guys, and believe it or not, I'm pretty sure the last time we talked about social media only was way back in September of 2018. So it's been a while. We always talk about it. It's always part of the conversation, but we haven't had like a legit social media mornings with Mayesh in a very long time, which, it's kind of a bad thing, I think. I need to do a better job on that. That's all right, though. On a good note, though, I just wanted to share, I'm pretty sure today is my 50th Mornings with Mayesh show. So super excited about that. I cannot wait to share this day with you guys. And while we are getting started, as usual, please say hello. Let me know where you are coming from, who you are. I also want to know, how was Mother's Day, guys? Did you do Mother's Day and how did it go? Let us know because it's super exciting. Mother's Day was a pretty great holiday for us. It gives us definitely a lot of hope, a lot of sunshine in our life, which I think we all need. So very exciting. Michelle says, I just tagged you in IG over the flowers we got from you for our orders. So stunning and fresh. Thank you, Michelle. So as usual, too, while we are doing our show, please be sure to post any of your questions that you have for Amy or I in the comment section, and we will get to them hopefully. So I know today's show is very packed. I have over 10 questions for her. And obviously, as we go, I'll try to include anything that's relevant. If not, I will try to definitely include them in our show notes and answer them there because this is something I can also answer on my own, hopefully. And then we'll go from there. So a little bit alluded to, if you're new to the show as well, I post all of this greatness over on our blog. I put our video replay, I put the show notes that I use for the show, and I make a podcast. So if all you podcast listeners out there, I got you. So definitely check that out. We're on all the major platforms. If I'm not on one, please let me know, but I'm pretty sure we cover all of our bases there. Last but not least, I want to make sure that you are subscribed to our Mayesh email. So I'm going to go ahead and put that link in our comments after the show or during. If it's now, that's okay. But go ahead, click that link, subscribe. You can get blog updates. Once you register, you can get pricing. You can get in the know of anything that's going on, anything new. I do have a big project that I am working on now. That's all I'm saying because I can't give it away because I have no idea who's listening. But you'll be the first to know if you're in our email. So definitely subscribe to that. And for the show, for example, I always send out two emails. I send out an email to get your questions if you have any, and then I send out an email so that way you know that we're going live. And when the times change, like I did an Instagram live this morning and I said it's at 11, then realized nope, that was my normal time. I'm at 12 today. So that way, usually I have my email to go, and that way we are all on the same page and you are here with me having fun. Sound good? All right, subscribe. Good morning. We have Esser from London. Hey, Erin from Wisconsin. Curate's here supporting us. Thanks, Curate. RSVP Floral Design, Andrea. Got lots of great people. Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and bring on Amy. Hey, Amy.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to do this with you.
Me too. It's such an honor. I've loved this Mornings with Mayesh for years. Congrats on 50 episodes. Wow. What an accomplishment.
I need balloons and confetti flying around. It's I didn't even realize it. I had no clue, but I was doing some research for a reporter and then I just stumbled upon it. I don't really pay attention to things like that very closely. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Very serendipitous. Yeah. I happen to be on the Flower podcast, which is another floral industry podcast.
Yep.
And I just so happened to be on their 50th episode also.
You're just that girl, I think.
It's so weird. That is like the weirdest thing. Maybe 50 is my number for the year. Who knows?
Yes.
I'm super excited to be here and talk about social media with you guys.
Yeah, me too. And so just a little story, guys. I met Amy at Carrie's conference. Yes. And in St. Louis, it was the first time we ever met in real life. We've known each other, I feel like, for a little bit, but not really worked together or anything like that, just known of each other. And Amy she's honestly the sweetest person I think I've ever met in a very, very long time. It was a breath of fresh air, and I just couldn't wait to do something together. So yeah, and here we are.
Yay! Well, ditto. I've been a Mayesh customer for, over a decade, and Mayesh has been a huge part of my business and just a huge part of, I think, a lot of my success in being able to, be a more successful designer. And I've always appreciated and loved your resources, and I've just been a really passionate Mayesh fan. So it's so exciting to be able to connect with you and talk marketing. You're the real marketing maven. So I'm excited to kind of hash out some stuff today with you.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So before we get started and get into all the social media goodness, why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit and tell everyone your flower story? How did you get to this place in your life?
Oh gosh, we could be here for hours, right? So, keeping things short isn't really my skill set. So I'll try to make this brief here. So I started doing flowers when I was 19 years old. Actually, it was almost 19 years ago. So in 2001. I found my first floral design class, and fluorescent lighting, leather fern, big brick of oasis and pink mini carnations. And we made this sort of, very traditional little, centerpiece, if you will. But it was my very first class, and I was completely enamored. I can remember every detail of that day, of that experience. And I felt totally hooked. And I thought, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. I had this kind of artsy upbringing, and my mom was always a really talented artist. I sort of was always like in her shadow, if you will, of like her giftedness. And I was really a pretty mediocre artist in lots of other mediums. I tried painting, I tried drawing, I tried photography, and I was sort of okay, very middle of the road, if you will. Right. And when I found flowers, though, it really connected something for me, this sort of tactile nature and my real obsession with just the natural world. I found so much comfort in, the patch of weeds in my yard and looking out the window and seeing a tree swing. I mean, there was a real, just a real magnetism in nature for me, a real respite as a child. And I think being able to use flowers to communicate a message, being able to create with my hands was like this light bulb moment of not just like creativity and ideas, but also like purpose. It felt very much like this is exactly what I'm supposed to do. So I feel really fortunate to have found flowers at a young age because I was able to get a formal education, which was really helpful. So I went to school for 2 years at an accredited college down in Southern California. And that really gave me just a solid foundation. I understood care and handling. I understood botanical names and common names. I knew how to, the sort of basic mechanics of how flowers are made, right, as well as, how to do funeral work, how to do everyday work. I just had this really broad spectrum of education. And to be honest, sometimes flower school gets kind of like a bad rap as being like old school or, you don't need to go. And it isn't for everyone. But I'll tell you what, it's been almost 2 decades. And to this day, I use the knowledge that I learned in floral school and from the committed mentors I've had over the years. And I can't preach education enough because nobody ever knows it all and things change. But having a strong foundation really allowed me to move around the country and work in different places, work at a shop, work for a wedding florist, work in production. And so because I was so fortunate to have that foundation, I've been able to do a lot of different things over my career. And so for many years, I was a freelance designer throughout Orange County and LA. That's all I did is production designs. We did tons and tons of, high-end, heavy-duty production. And then, I sort of worked for more like bespoke high-end boutique shops. And then I did sort of some my own work. And then I moved out of state and to a state that had almost no floral industry, or it was very minimal, it was very old school. And because of that, I had to pivot and had to make some changes. And I went and worked in the corporate world for a couple of years. I needed the health insurance, stuff like that. So I've sort of ebbed and flowed. I haven't been a florist straight for 20 years, but I've had a lot of different experiences running a catering company, always kind of working somewhat in the event industry. And so I've been able to see a lot of the back of the house stuff, as well as understand other components of how events work and how the floral industry works. And so it's just been a really useful, it was a really useful launching pad, but I've been really fortunate. I just feel really blessed to have had so many opportunities to do this work. It just feels like I look back on it, the season I'm in now, which is really more teaching and mentoring and training florists. And I'm like, man, I just feel so blessed. So that's what I do now. I teach and train florists of all skill sets and levels in really foundational floristry, but in the niche of like the loose and airy, organic, freeform style. That's really my specialty. I've been doing that style for about 7 or 8 years. When I opened my own company, that was the style that I really wanted to make. And so it was not easy. I had to learn, I had to kind of pivot all this learning and training I had done in this very symmetrical, very sort of tight, roundy moundy vibe. Many of your listeners I know can resonate. So it was not like I just woke up one day and made everything just like effortless. It was a journey to get here. I took tons of workshops, tons of studying, tons of mistakes, really slow crawl, if you will, to find that movement and that flow in my work. So I really love teaching now because I've been through that process. I've had to go through that pain journey of I know what it's like to be frustrated by seeing it and not being able to execute it. And so that's really what I teach now. I've kind of niched down in bouquets and centerpieces, specifically in how to get that kind of open, airy, freeform look. So I'm able to use my formal training, my understanding of the vernacular, the actual vocabulary of why this works, paired with my understanding of really the modern style that a lot of brides want. So it's just been a real joy to see the florists that I work with and the florists I teach and train and come to my workshops, to see the light go on of oh, okay, it's not that I'm irrelevant. It's not that I can't do it. It's that this is what my muscle memory is telling me to do. And if I do this differently, then I can get that look. And so it's just really been such a joyful time in my career to feel like I'm making an impact and a difference and giving florists confidence around a style that is, I think, actually a really challenging style. To make something look effortless is really kind of hard. So I love seeing floral designers gain some proficiency and really some confidence in this style when they walk away. And who knows how long this trend will be. I think it's going to be here a while. I think we want our flowers to feel more like they've grown out of the vase, at least that's a trend that I've continued to see growing. So I think that this is here to stay for quite a while. So I've just been really enjoying this season.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so, Amy, you're just teaching full time? You don't do any events or weddings or anything like that anymore?
I don't take on my own clients right now. I mostly do some consulting. So I will help produce somebody else's event. I will occasionally freelance for close friends if they're really in a pinch. And because I just miss being with designers,
Right.
Most of my work is done on the computer, if I'm honest now, right? Just like you, it's like I sit in front of my computer creating content. I create resources. I'm doing administrative work. I'm working with a graphic designer to put up a new post for a new workshop I'm doing. So I spend very little time designing, but the time I do spend designing, it's especially during quarantine right now, it's been really special. I've just been really leaning into those uncomfortable places in my own work because I'm good at what I do. I want to get good at stuff I'm not good at. And so
Exactly.
I'm trying to push myself to get uncomfortable with more minimalism, with more different experimenting with different foam free mechanics. I'm always kind of working towards, exploring more foam free options. And also just really studying my material better and diving even deeper into the principles and elements of design. I sort of hear the sentiment often about like, oh, you don't have to listen to the rules. You don't need the rules. You just do you. And I find that really actually a fairly harmful philosophy because oftentimes, what designers are looking for in education is some guidance. They're looking for, hey, I just need some guidance, some footing here so that I can layer my own style on top of it. But if we don't have a framework of how geometry works and how light works and interacts with color, right? These are kinds of the things we're talking about. So there isn't this, hey, you have to do it my way and come and learn the Amy Nicole floral way. It's no, here's how implied line works. Here's how this color story is working and how do we add to it? How do we sort of change it? So by really digging into the principles of design for myself more, it's a lifelong journey. I can better educate my students and my clients who hire me to consult for them on a variety of different topics. I will help a florist with care and handling. If they're like, I don't know how to take care of this, so I help them explain like these are things you need to do to keep for the longevity of this, or I'm having this team issue. What would you do? What have you seen in the past? So yeah, it's just been a really cool time. But for the most part, yeah, I spend most of my time in front of my computer doing administrative work. And I will continue to spend more time in front of my computer because a lot of what I'm creating is resources for florists and content and ideas. And I have a Facebook group for florists that I hopefully this year will spend more time in there building more content for them. Content, you know, you know,
I
that
know
thing.
content is king,
Content
and social media is queen.
is
So
king.
that's what we're going to be talking about. And I just really quickly, before we start getting into Instagram stuff and social media, it's one of the reasons why I love you too, is because you're very thoughtful and everything's very purposeful, and you can tell that you have studied and you've really put in the work to understand why you do what you do. It's not that you're doing it because you like the way it looks.
Yes.
There's reason behind everything, and I love that. I think it's beautiful, and I hope that we see more of that flourishing in our industry.
Yes, I agree. Thank you for saying that and recognizing that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's why you've done really great in Instagram and why people are attracted to you because of that. So I think it's safe to say that florists and their clients love Instagram. But before we dive into that, are there any other platforms that you think that we need to be visible on?
Absolutely. You must be on Pinterest. I think we, for many years as florists, have sort of chalked up Pinterest as a, place to collect imagery, place to create portfolios of work. And I was sharing with Yvonne yesterday when we were doing our test call that last year or the year before, I invested a lot of money into my own marketing education, understanding how to market more efficiently, what was relevant, what wasn't, what's been working, what hasn't. And I continue to invest in marketing. It's critical to our modern day businesses.
Yep.
And so you can be the best person in the world at what you do, but if nobody knows about it, where they, 80-90% of brides are on Instagram and social media platforms planning their weddings. So we have to be here. Pinterest is really, as you know, Yvonne, a powerful search engine, and it's really highly competing right now with Google. And I think Google is having some concerns because Pinterest is really changing the game when it comes to search engine optimization, SEO. And if you don't know this word, I highly recommend either hiring somebody or studying more about it. And you can watch YouTube videos, there's books, there's all kinds of research on what you can how you can grow in this area. But learning Tailwind, if you don't want to do this stuff, I have somebody I hire for this. I hired a company. They manage my Pinterest account because I have a 6-year-old. I have limited amount of time in my life, and they handle it. And so I think it's a worthy investment. It's really a place where visibility is key. I think that because the content, and this is really the key, the content you create on Pinterest lasts for so long, right? Its shelf life is so prominent versus an Instagram post that's maybe going to get buried in your feed or content you create. So having these things, because they're going to live on your website, they're also going to be on Pinterest. That I think is really where florists could put some more effort and energy. There are florists booking high-end weddings on Pinterest. I know that's a concern about, oh, I'm just going to get these DIY brides and these low-budget brides. That is not the case. There are tons and tons and tons of florists that I think are working on it on Pinterest that is working for them, and it's about visibility. It's about getting your so I really, really encourage people to really learn how Pinterest works. It's complex. I'm not going to say it's easy. This is why I hire somebody. I am not tech savvy. I figured out some Instagram stuff. I am not a tech savvy person. I am a florist through and through. So I don't have this skill set. I don't like whip up graphics really quickly. I have to pay somebody to do this for me because I will spend 3 hours in tears on my laptop trying to get this text over, and I'm just, burying myself in a pint of ice cream because I'm like, I'm terrible at all this. I'm never going to be successful. So, we hire to our weaknesses, right? We hire to the things that we're not strong in. And I think it's a worthy investment. The other one is really, I think Facebook is a powerful tool still, especially if you're a retail florist. There's still a lot of opportunity on Facebook. And I think, there's opportunity on all these platforms. So do what you can, right? If you can't invest all your energy into one, then get really, really good and proficient at one of them. And then when you feel like you've got that down and you've got a good system and you're working really strong and it's happening for you, then move on and add another platform that you can just, dip your toe into, or maybe you hire that one out, or maybe you just do a little bit on that platform. But I think it can be overwhelming. And then we just kind of go into like paralysis of like, I can't keep up with these young kids and blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to do it. And I get it. I'm not terribly old. And I mean, I'm pushing 40 here, but it's like, I don't feel like one of the young kids. I don't feel like one of these savvy tech people. And the reality is that this is now part of how we have to run our businesses. And I think it's helpful for me is to think about it as we don't have to, we get to. And there's a mindset shift there for me that was really helpful. Like, you know what? I get to do this. I get to show up for people. I get to serve my clients. And I think that has helped me not feel so resentful about having to like, oh, one more thing I have to learn and one more thing I have to do as a business owner. It's like, well, I get to invest in my business. I get to find my people and connect and serve them better. And I think that's been helpful for me.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. I love it. And then also just going back to the content and, having a website that has images, having like a basic blog. I've talked about this before. Like I've even just seen like people who list like very basic facts about their events or their weddings or whatever they're working on. Like I was at this venue and I met these vendors and it was in this area, city and state. So very basic where you're not writing full blown posts, but then it's, very image driven, and then using those, pin them to your Pinterest boards. And obviously you can mix in other things, but then people are clicking on it and they get to your website and they're looking for that venue or that city and flowers for weddings in that city. You're popping up in that. Again, it's good for your SEO on Google. It's good for your SEO on Pinterest. And again, it's driving those people, doing your inbound marketing, using social media to leverage your content, and just, again, building that business. And doing the same thing with Facebook. So I'm a big believer in, there's certain things that we're not great at, and we'll do a little bit of it. And eventually we will be better. But I just think it's better to get started, giving like your focus on what you're good at, and then getting started with maybe things that you're not. But it's okay that you're not perfect. It's not okay. It's okay that you're not great at live videos, or you can't make TikToks or whatever. It doesn't even matter. You just need to get started, because the longer you wait, then it, like what Amy said about Pinterest being kind of more of an evergreen type of content. It's there, it builds. And I just was talking about my YouTube library, about I see that same effect where it compounds.
Yes.
So, we started with a couple of videos, now we have 500. It just compounds every single month, because a lot of the videos are still very relevant today.
I have had literally probably 24 students in workshops of mine over the last 2 years that found me on YouTube.
Yep.
And I created very low budget, in my garage, very poor lighting, very low tech YouTube videos a few years ago. I just thought, I feel like I have something I could share here that could be useful for people, and created about 25 videos. I haven't created any new ones, and I still I will get comments, DMs, people are writing, oh, hey, I found you on YouTube. And it's incredible. They're like all under 5 minutes. They're not these really robust design videos. They're like how to use floral tape properly, how to prepare a vase, why should you strip a rose, how to strip roses quickly. These like really quick things that I've just learned over the years.
Right.
And like you said, YouTube has got the same vibe. It takes time, but the more content and the longer it's on there, the more exposure you have. And it's passive content. You make it once, you put it out into the world, and it drives people to your services, to your website. And that's really the name of the game. And I want to touch on something briefly that you said, but focusing on your geography, I think, is such an important thing. If you are a wedding florist in Biloxi, Mississippi, everything that you tag needs to be Biloxi venues, Biloxi locations, Biloxi vlogs, or just the area that you serve, right? And I think using hashtags in that way and creating content around that community is so key. So what you said about we'll talk about geotagging, I'm sure, on Instagram, but even from a Pinterest place, from an SEO place, that geography of where you're at, using venues, using other vendors in your local area is so important on social media. So great point you made.
Yeah, love it. All right, so we're going back to Instagram. We're going to start with the profile. What should businesses do to leverage their profile to their maximum benefit? How do we get people to take action using that profile?
Yeah. So if you've ever heard of a CTA, right, this is a call to action. This is a really important thing that a lot of florists and just in general people are missing. So in their profile photo, I think strongly there should be a photo of you, even if it is not a perfect photo. I think that people want to see your face. They want to see what you look like, because people do business with people they trust. And so I think having a picture of your work is fine. I do think, though, that you will get more engagement if you are posting a photo of yourself, especially in that profile. So I highly recommend a close-up, facing forward if possible, so people can see what you look like. Good lighting, wearing something appropriate. You're not, in your, your pajamas or whatever. And if you have some flowers in your hand, I think that's helpful. It sort of quickly makes the connection, like, oh yeah, this is a florist. These are not rules. These are just observations I've made over using Instagram. So please take, my opinion with a grain of salt. But this is there. You could take a master class in writing a bio. And I think here's the key thing. Go to YouTube, watch some videos about what needs to be in a bio. But I think here's some key things to think about. This is your elevator pitch. And if you don't know what an elevator pitch is, Google it and start practicing it. This is the example that, we give in marketing classes or whatever.
Right.
You're at a barbecue with, Uncle Rob, who could care less about the floral industry, and he asks you what you do, and you got one sentence to tell him what you do.
Right.
it is really challenging to kind of narrow that down. So you may need to work with somebody who does branding. You may need to do some, work with somebody who does brand messaging. My friend Yasmin, to throw a little like pitch out to her, she is probably one of the best people I've ever worked with on this. Her business is literally brand messaging, and so she really helps people figure out basically how to create that copy. And so work with somebody who maybe helps with copy to help you figure out, if you can't do it yourself, what that elevator pitch is. And then you always want to always please have your location. I see so many florists who do not have their location listed. When I'm looking at somebody, I am not going to take the time to go to your website and research your contact page, and then it's not even there. I'm like, where do you live? Who do you serve? So turn it on.
Please. I see that so often, and it hurts me. Guys, and I've been talking about this for a long time, so now I just feel like you're listening. You don't really care.
Yeah, it's not a privacy thing. They can't find you. If you're going to have a business account, right? It's different if you have a personal account, you have privacy issues, and you don't want to put that out there. If you're having a business account, the whole point is people have to find you so they can use your business. So you have to have that. And then the other recommendation I want to make is the link tree, the link that you can use. So you get one hyperlink, right? And so Linktree is what I use. Linktree is an incredible free service that allows you to put in multiple links. And so you can send somebody, for me, because I do education, to my YouTube channel, to my Amazon store, to my Facebook group, to my workshop links. And so I can move things around. I can make sure everything looks really clean and pretty. That's okay. And it's really a powerful tool. So get on Linktree, get a free account, and put some links in there. You can do a featured wedding of the month, right? You could say, here's my feature. If you're in green wedding shoes, put a link to your green wedding shoes feature. If you have a free resource, right, as sort of a thing that you want, download your free wedding planning guide, right? That could be your call to action in the bio. So you could have, I create effortless moments for brides, blah, 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 right? Download your free bridal guide below, and then an arrow or a finger pointing to your link tree. And your link tree has all these links, and the very top link could be your free bridal guide, right? And they have to put in their email address. And that's how you capture information about them. That's how you start engaging with them. And so again, I know this can feel overwhelming. It has felt overwhelming to me for many years. And I had to invest money. I really did, to learn and study more about how to do this. I don't do it perfectly. There's still so much room for marketing improvement on my own end. I think my website's been in the works for like a year because I've just been so busy. I travel a lot, and I'm like, I need to get this done. So trust me, I'm not just trying to like dump stuff on your neck, but this stuff, again, like you said, it's a journey. And something you said, Yvonne, is, so I just have to go back and say this because my mentor told me this, one of my mentors, I think 2 or 3 months ago, and I was feeling overwhelmed about something, and she said, Amy, just take imperfect action. And I just was so encouraged as a recovering perfectionist, with childhood wounds around, being perfect, having to just perform and get a perfect A and do it all right. Well, what if I do it wrong? And what happens with this? It's like, just take imperfect action. So even if it's not perfect, it's something you're trying, you're learning. And as you're taking imperfect action, guess what? You're figuring it out, right? But I think it's easy to get paralyzed with this tech stuff if you're not, we're florists. We work with our hands. We're solving creative problems. We're working, 3-dimensionally. It's a different skill set. So I've had to learn to have a lot of grace for myself, but also to have some accountability that this is my business and this is my job to figure out some of this stuff. And if it means that it's uncomfortable, because I think that's really, if I'm honest and have a heart moment here with you, that's really, for me, like, that's really where the crux of this is about, is like, I don't want to look like I'm not good at something. Like, this is like a pride thing. Like, I don't want to feel like I suck at something, and it's like, oh, this just feels gross to like not be good at something or proficient. And so I don't want to feel that. So then I just avoid doing it,
Right.
And I think that's been my hard in resisting a lot of areas that I really need to work on in my business. And I don't want to feel bad at something, or it's a time thing, it's a time thing. I don't want to make time for it. I'm busy. And so there's lots of reasons, but I think oftentimes for me, the heart of it is just, I see in the comments, I hate pictures of myself. I don't like my voice. We were talking about this. We're like, I've gained, I used to be a much thinner person and I've gained a lot of weight. I see myself in pictures and I'm like,
Right.
I don't look the way I've looked, pre-baby, if you will, 10 years ago. And so it's very vulnerable to keep showing up and putting yourself in front of people and being able to show up authentically and vulnerably. And that takes like some inner work, right? You either have an amazing ego and you're so confident that you don't care. But most of us care. And I think that most of us feel like we're going to be judged. And so, if your link's a little off, your picture isn't perfect, I think that the reality is that we think that people care a lot more than they really do. And the reality is, you're solving a problem. You're in the service industry, right? We got to check our ego at the door. We are, we're not these superstars. We're servants. And somebody is hiring us because they have a problem. They need flowers for their tables and they need a funeral arrangement and they need to celebrate their mom's birthday. And, we got to check our ego at the door. That's also like some false humility. That's like, oh, well, I don't look good enough to pursue my clients and market myself. I don't sound good enough. I don't feel good enough. I don't look thin enough. And it's like, it's not about you. It's about your customer and it's about serving their need. And so step one, get over ourselves and love ourselves a little bit more so that we can just show up for the people that we serve. And I think that's really the heart of marketing. A lot of this technical stuff, you can learn it on YouTube. You can figure it out. But
I've taught myself everything. It's not, I did not go to school for marketing, guys. I did not. I started from zero and taught myself everything that we've been doing. Great. So you just have to be brave. And someone wanted a repeat of the Imperfect quote, and it was take imperfect action. Don't. And something that I live by in my own household, and I preach to my little ones all the time, is be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Be friends with that. Woo! Yes, that is something that we preach, and it's a big deal in my house. And I want my babies to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Otherwise, if you are comfy, you aren't growing, you aren't evolving, you're going to be stagnant, you will be irrelevant, then your business closes. If we're going to relate it to our world right now.
It took a dark turn.
Yeah.
It took a true turn.
It did, but I think it's a truth that I think people need to know, and they need to embrace that and be okay with that. So I'm a big believer of that. So yes, take imperfect action is what Amy said, and I love it. And obviously it resonates with everyone else that is watching right now.
It's my heartbeat. It's my heartbeat. And I'll tell you what, when it's 2:00 in the morning and I can't figure out how to get this email sent and I'm trying to do this marketing thing and I am just about in tears because I suck at all this stuff, I often preach that to myself. I'm like, you are showing up. You are being brave. You are doing something that is uncomfortable. You are growing. I literally have to coach myself in these moments of saying, this is too hard and I don't want to do it. I don't want to learn Instagram. I don't want to do lives. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And maybe it's not for every business, right? If you're uncomfortable with the way you look, try doing videos without your face. Make videos of pointing them at your arrangements, right? Yeah. Focus on the flowers. But we still have to show up in our businesses. We can't just check out and think oh, the customers will keep flooding in because there's going to be 10 other florists behind you that are willing to take this imperfect action.
Right.
And we are competing. I'm not saying that, yes, I believe in abundance. Yes, I believe there's work to go around, but I also believe that marketing is a highly important part of our business that we often neglect because we'd rather just make pretty stuff and sort of check out, right. and not worry about it. And if you want to have a sustainable, viable business, marketing is critical to that. And so we have to get uncomfortable. And I think that's the part that's, and even showing up at a workshop. I've had people come to my workshops that have been florists for 25, 30 years,
Yes.
and they're learning from somebody who's 30 years younger than them. And I find I celebrate the heck out of those women that show up, because I'm like, hey, first of all, here's a picture of like somebody we all need to learn from, the depth of knowledge and wisdom this person has, like go pick her brain. But second of all, she had the humility to show up at a workshop with a bunch of 20, 30-year-olds to do a style that she wasn't comfortable with, because she understands the importance of investing in herself and learning this new thing. It's the same for all of us. And so
I love that. I love when those people too show up at our workshop.
They're gold. They're treasures of our industry.
Yes, for sure. So more about Instagram. How do you make a plan for your post and your stories ahead of time? How do you do that?
Yeah, so I used to be really diligent about this. I'm just going to be a truth teller here with you, Yvonne.
That's all good.
We're
all friends here.
So this is like confession hour with Amy. I'm like, and then one time when I was 7, so I used to be so on top of this. I used Planoly for a long time. I'd have these beautiful grids, and they were perfectly edited with the right Visco filter, and the light was just right. And I'd spend like 2 hours writing captions and hashtags, and it was just all so beautiful. And I just got busy with traveling and with my kiddo and life. I have some health condition. I have several autoimmune issues, and a lot of that just takes a lot of my energy. And so some things have slipped in my business, and planning my grid is one of them. I think here's the thing. Planning your grid is great. There are free apps. I'm sure you are the master of this stuff. You probably talk about it all the time. Preview is another free one I use. This is a really powerful tool to be able to sit down and batch work your content. I'm sure you talk about batch working, but to pick an hour a week where you pull images, you edit them, you get them uploaded, you write the content, and then, or the caption, and then you put the hashtags up. It is a powerful tool to get it done. It's a very like type A way to approach an Instagram, and I think it feels amazing for that personality. If you have that kind of personality, I wish a lot of times that I was you. I have a much more fragmented mind and style and energy. And so here's what I've done in the last year is I just post when I feel like it's something I want to say. And there have been seasons where I don't post every day. And that's a really common thing. It's like post every day, the algorithm post every day. But you know what? My mental health is more important than my Instagram feed. And if I feel this crushing pressure to just get vomit, if you will, excuse me the word, but just vomit content, right? And I actually use that word to evoke an emotion, because it feels to me like I'm just expelling, like, I have to produce, like I'm not a machine, I'm a human, And so I've scaled back on the posting everyday thing just for this season, because the season I'm in now is I'm just being more delicate with myself. I'm being more gentle, and I'm being more understanding that, okay, it may mean less engagement, but my mental health is more important than that. And I think that I have to take care of myself first, or I cannot serve my clients well.
Right.
And to be honest, when I see feeds that are just cranking out content, it feels like, yep, that feels very corporate. That feels very planned. That feels like it's beautiful. It's well executed. I feel almost nothing to that, though. I don't feel moved. I don't feel drawn to that conversation. I don't feel drawn to that imagery. I feel like I'm just being sold this feed, this curated look. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is just where I'm at after using Instagram now, 7 or 8 years. And I feel kind of like burned out a lot of times by a lot of the noise.
Right.
And I mean, I spend a lot of time on Instagram every day, don't get me wrong. But I'm more drawn to conversation. I'm more drawn to honesty. I'm more drawn to things that, just real, actual vulnerability of, and real content, real education. There are people that are people like my friend Sue of Passion Flower Sue. I mean, we're really good friends. We really we are so passionate about education in our floral industry.
Yes.
And we want to change the conversation and really get into more of the meaty, nitty gritty reasons why good design works. Every time she posts, I'm like, it's like Christmas morning. There's something of value there. She's not just cranking out content because she needs to build this curated feed. And so I think the thing is, like, I'm more interested in like how to serve people better. And so if I'm just pushing out content, I feel like it's more about me than it is about them. And I just wanted, how many likes did that get and how much engagement am I getting? Okay, I got to pivot. It's like, let's just take a really big deep breath here and actually think about what people need and how I can fill that. And so for me as an educator, my clients are florists, right? But for most of your listeners as floral designers, their clients are brides, their clients are moms and grooms and people who are planning weddings, or people who are, looking to find a new retail florist or buy a plant, or, do a series on plant care, do a series on color trends, do a series on how to have a weird conversation about money with your florist, do a post about what it's like to be a wedding florist, what the real work that goes into it is, break it down, do a day in the life of series, like have a conversation with people instead of just shouting your edited photos at them all day. It's like that there's a million of people doing that. And I just think that we're less inclined to be drawn to that these days, especially now, with everything that's going on. So anyway,
I love what you're saying. And for people that are saying, I don't know what to post, Amy just made a big list for you there. So
let me answer your question. Here's what to do when you think about what not to post.
Exactly.
Think about all the questions that you get asked as a wedding florist in a consultation, at a barbecue with your family. So what do you do? How does that work? And think about, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of questions that you get asked in a consultation around venues, around brides. Go through your process of how you order flowers. Do a series, do several posts on how you pull an order together. Talk about building wholesale relationships. Talk about color. Talk about your inspiration, why you became a florist. I mean, just think critically instead of looking at everybody else's Instagram page around what's been successful for them and try to replicate that. Instead, think about who is on here. Because let me tell you something, whether you have 50,000 Instagram followers or you have 10, those people matter. And those 10 people, if 2 of them bought something from you and then they were so happy, and then those 2 people told 3 people in their family about you, and then all of a sudden you may have 10 people through this 2 people that bought something or told somebody about you, you could actually book 10 weddings, right?
Really? I mean, I'd like to argue that probably the smaller following means that you're doing a better job finding the right people, right?
Preach.
Yeah, that's why if you look at our 78,000 followers, that's awesome. But are they really people that are buying flowers from us? Are they our clients? Are they people that just happen to buy, just happened upon us through a hashtag and are following us now? I want to be talking to people who are our clients, who are our real community.
Oh,
yes.
Thank you. We have to stop looking at the number and listen. I'm the first one to jump in front of that line and be like, guilty, hand up, guilty's charge, judging, I should be here, I should have this many, why don't I have? I've been told by a person at a conference who was hiring me to come and speak and teach with 20 years of experience, telling me that my following wasn't big enough to warrant being paid the same as somebody with 100,000 followers. I was told this by a conference organizer. And I was so, this is literally the world that we're living in. And so it matters to a degree, but we're talking about brides here. And we're talking about, Botanical Brouhaha, which is another great floral podcast, they did a literal article on this. It's a fantastic article. It's like literally asking, they polled brides, do you care about following size? Do you care about hashtags? Do you care about this? It's a great read because it really level sets what our clients care about, what they want, what they're interested in. Hey, guess what they said about following size? They don't care. They don't care about your following list. So we have to stop caring and focusing on this. And the thing is, it's not about gaining more followers. Like you said, Yvonne, this is about connecting with potential clients that we are going to then create a relationship with and serve better. And
Yes.
so that's the heart of marketing. It really, really, really is.
It is. It is. I love all of this. I need to be a little bit speedier though, so we can
Yes,
get.
sorry.
It's okay. No, it's amazing. I love it, and you're so passionate about it. But we have so many questions. Do you
We'll
have
get through
time
it.
to
Go.
go over? Do you have
Yes,
time
yes,
to go
yes.
over?
Oh,
Okay.
yes, of course.
All right. Good, good, good. So guys, this is going to be a longer video than normal, but
Sorry
everyone is
about you.
loving it. So it's good, Amy. It's good. I love it. And
I warned you. I
this is one
warned
of
you
the
that
ones,
brevity,
yes,
brevity is not my strength.
it's all
Oh,
good. No, I love it. This is all amazing. Okay, so I did get a question from Amanda that's kind of related to posts and things like that. And I think it, especially like with the app, someone was asking, what was that app? I think you mentioned it's called the Preview app.
yeah, Preview is one. It's free, so that's why I like it.
There's Planoly.
Planoly's
You mentioned Bachelor, so there they are. It'll be in my show notes too, guys. So don't worry if you're like you feel like you're freaking out because you're not going to be able to like write all of this down fast enough. It's okay. I will do that work for you. So yeah, and I also wanted to talk a little bit real quick. I do plan out some things like our evergreen content that I know I'm just gonna forget. Like you know, and then honestly, like with everything that's happening, that's kind of fallen off. But yes, we have things that I want to talk about consistently, and it's just easier just to get it done. Just get it done. But we are in a fluid world where like trends change, new product that's coming, like that's all of a sudden available, that's changing. So we have to be fluid. You know, our purchasing team might have just brought in like these amazing Edelman peonies that are landing in a lot of our branches. So I don't know when that's going to land really far in advance. So that's more of like a live type of thing. So I think it's just finding what's working for you. Don't feel like you have to plan it, but if you can plan things so that way you can take like an hour, like every week, plan things out, then that makes it easier and not so stressful. But again, don't post things just to post it. You know, I'm a big believer in that too. And one other thing. So Amy talked about bios and Linktree. I'm a big believer. I know lots of people use Linktree. Lots of people use Linktree, but I'm a big believer if you can move that on to your website, onto your own domain. That's what we did. So I posted a link for Amy's Linktree, so you can check that out. And then I posted a link for my Linktree, which is on mayesh.com. I don't use the app. Everything is there, and then I change it whenever I want to. It's very similar. I add the buttons, but then I can kind of control how it looks and the branding and all of that. So I'm a big believer in if you can host it on your website, then go ahead and do it. People use it for all different reasons, or whether or not they're comfortable making those kinds of changes or whatnot. But I think once you try it, you'll see that it's not too difficult. So that's my advice there too.
And about planning, like you said, here is one thing I do that I think that is helpful. So if you're not going to plan your posts, definitely keep a gallery on your phone. Like you can make a separate folder of edited images. This helps a ton. So as you're working in your shop, as you're doing weddings, as you're out in nature, as you're creating, you know, content specific photos, you know, brand specific photos, then take pictures and spend that hour maybe just editing your photos, cropping them, fixing some light. I have to tell you guys about this app. Hold on, let me pull it up on my phone. Okay, this is the one every single one of you needs to download. It is called Retouch. It is the coolest app. I personally, one of the apps I use the most, and it is free, totally free. It is like Photoshop with your finger. It is totally idiot proof because I am not savvy again with this stuff. I'm not a photographer. I don't know side lighting, DSL. I don't do brand shoots every 3 months. Like I take photos with my iPhone. Use Retouch to remove like if you have a light in the back, or like say you take a picture of an arrangement in your studio or shop and there's a light fixture on the wall, you literally just take your finger and erase it. Like It's that incredible. I use it all the time. If you have like a weird fold in your clothes and you're trying to, you want to post a photo, you just and like literally just like smooths it out.
That's
So
amazing.
it's literally Photoshop with your finger. It's incredible. So easy to use. It's been a game changer for me. And so if you even just take a bunch of flower photos, edit it, spend an hour batch working, editing them, using retouch, fixing some of the lighting, blah, 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 apply your filter, whatever, however you edit your photos for your brand look. Then you have a gallery of ready images so that when you want to post, pull an image that's appropriate for whatever you're feeling or trying to sell or trying to do, and then you throw in your captions, and then also keep chunks of hashtags ready to go in a notepad on your phone.
Yes.
So I have a hashtag that's Amy Nicole Floral, another one that's Amy Nicole Teaches that has to do with education. So, and then another one that's like bouquet workshop, floral design workshop. So instead of retyping all these, they exist in a notepad on my phone, not on my computer. I'm not posting from Instagram from my computer. So they have to live in my notepad in my phone so that I can go in and copy so I can then post very quickly. We're both moms, and like I am often posting in between like, a bathroom run and like a quick closet hideout and like rushing over to like grab something for my son. Like I'm not like sitting at the table with an hour trying to come up with some poetry. Like put your heart out there and write like you talk, right?
Yeah, I have that here.
Yes.
I write like you talk. It drives me nuts when fancy people don't talk like that, and if they do, think of, like you're just like,
it's just so phony. It feels so phony. Again, it's a conversation. How would you talk to your bride? How would you talk to your potential client? You speak to them like in your post. If you're like, I don't know what to write, what would you say to a bride, right? You're a salesperson. If you're a designer, you own a business, you're a salesperson. How do you sell to them? How do you talk to them? What feels conversational? That's what you put in your content, right?
And how do they talk, right? How are they comfortable talking, figure out all this technical jargon to someone that has no idea what you're talking about. So just keep that in mind. You want to be able to talk the way your community talks, for sure.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Next question.
Oh, sorry. Next. So, going back to posting in batches and to create things looking like a showcase. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, here, you do you, right? Like, I think that if you are super savvy and you have the time and you have the aesthetic and you're like really good at all the apps and you want to make this like gorgeous, beautiful, cohesive, every other box is like a beautifully edited word, like believe or emotion or like, that's a stretch, but you know what I mean? Like,
right.
These beautifully curated feeds and you're like, wow, that's super pretty. And then I just kind of usually swipe past it because 9 times out of 10, I'm like, yeah, those are a dime a dozen. If I open up their feed and I look at their posts and they don't deliver me anything of value, a connection, a humanness, a point of interest, something I can learn, I'm like, bye. Like, I'm just not interested in seeing more pretty imagery and beautifully curated things. This, for me, realization for me really helped because I was like carrying around this backpack of rocks that like my feed isn't perfect. And here's the reality. I just think that people are honestly, we're growing bored of the feed. We are more interested in watching videos. We're more interested in seeing things that are moving around. This is why TikTok is so big. This is why Instagram Lives and IGTVs and stories is so huge, is that people want to watch videos. And if you can even create, I've started to slowly start to incorporate more video on, and even if it's just like I'm taking my phone and I'm doing like a tiny little showcase. It doesn't have to have words or anything.
Right.
Little demo of a flower. So instead of taking photos of flowers, I'm now starting to take little tiny 10-second videos of me spinning the flower around and showing different angles of the flower. Because again, people want to see videos. And so start incorporating these into your feed. And I know you will start getting more engagement right away. Like it's incredible. I will get, 300, 500 views or likes on a photo. I will get 1,100, 1,500 views on a video. Yeah. And so it's as you know, this is what people want to do. They want to watch these things. So I would start, because you can plan your feed till the day you die. But it's like you said, Yvonne, it's a living, breathing medium, right? That we're kind of in the moment. So yeah.
I like that. I do think, like, you know, if you have like a very interesting something that you designed and then there's a bunch of detailed shots and things like that, you know, having those coordinated pieces, but I don't think it's something that's like necessary to have a good feed. We do try to be cognizant of like harsh color changes, like if people are scrolling through our feed and things like that. Again, sometimes we try to do it, but we're not like, oh my God, I can't post that today because it doesn't flow.
It's something to be cognizant of. It's exactly right. I'm not going to post a neon yellow arrangement after I've just, in a really bright white background, when I've just posted 6 moody, dark background, deep colors, jewel tones, right? It doesn't flow right. So yeah, there is, to answer your question, I'm probably skirting the issue here, but I'm just been so rebellious lately about the, you know, these rules that have been like burned into me about Instagram. I'm like, no, I don't have to do that. But I agree with you. I'm cognizant, and I will say that I do pay attention. So for example, I've been trying to put more photos of myself, as deeply uncomfortable as that is for me, because I'm not particularly happy with how I look right now as a person. But you know, I still am putting myself out there because I'm a teacher and I want people to see me teaching. I want people to see me engaging with students, and it's relevant to what I do. And so I'm not going to post 2 photos next to myself of my face teaching and then 6 arrangements in a row. I'm going to try to pepper those out. And that's why planning your feed is helpful. But even if you're not planning, just be cognizant. If you're using photos of people, maybe you pepper that in with a detail shot, then a far back centerpiece, then an installation. And then you do a couple, and then you maybe do a detail shot, another centerpiece, and then maybe instead of an installation, you do like a beautiful bouquet, right? And so there's a way to sort of pepper like people, fit like images of actual humans. I would kind of move those around a little bit, unless you're like a weird, crazy influencer and literally every picture is just of you. Yes. I still to this day don't get these accounts. I'm like, cool, it's just like a bunch of photos of your face. Like, okay, cool. Like, I don't know. I still don't get that.
I don't get it either. I was just looking at a feed yesterday of a social media marketing person, and it's literally a feed of just her in a couple quotes, and it's very strange to me. I'm like, I don't get that, but okay. Apparently it's working for her because she apparently knows what she's doing, but it was very strange to me. Like, it's like, oh, here's me at a cafe, and here's me in my bedroom, and here's me with my cool new outfit, and it's just weird to me. I don't know.
Maybe I'm too old for that. I just am like, I don't know. I don't get it. I could literally care less about like,
I know.
Literally a gallery of yourself.
That's how I feel. Like I always say I turned 41 on Thursday. The 14th is my birthday. And thank you. And I definitely don't feel like the young little chick that I did when I first started doing this whole gig in the whole wholesale floral world. I feel like I was super young, and I don't know, and I had so much to learn. I still feel like I have so much to learn though, and I still feel uncomfortable all the time, and which again is a good thing.
Same.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, I had, once I get my team back, I have like younger girls, ladies on my team. I say girls and boys all the time. Don't get offended. It's just the way I talk. I have little ones in my house, and everything's about girls and boys.
Exactly. It was like saying to your team, like your grown-ups, like, who needs to go potty before we run off to the event? You're like, you're embedded with mom language.
So in my brain, I can't help it. So my girls are, you know, younger than me and all of that, and they, you know, keep on trends and stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like I am starting to get a little bit old, but that's okay. That's all right. Birthdays and such in my brain. Sorry, guys. Okay, moving on to writing good captions. So we talked a little bit about this. What are some other tips do you have for everyone else to like make sure? Because again, I think writing a good caption is important, but for me, I am very to the point sometimes. It's not like it needs a big explanation. I don't feel like I want to be deep all the time, because then I feel like that's disingenuous as well. Like if you're like, have all these deep feelings about every single thing that you're posting. It's strange. So what do you say about that, Amy?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. It's interesting. About 6 years ago, I took a social media marketing class, and it's so different from what I learned last year.
Right.
And so this is this is evolving, right? This thing changes really every day. It's like this living, breathing, moving thing that we're using, this tool that we're using. And so I think for caption writing, again, and I kind of have sort of mentioned it, but yeah, I think you're right. When I see captions that are like 15 paragraphs long and somebody is pouring out their heart and soul about every childhood wound, it's like, okay, there's a place for those posts. If you're going through something, I totally like believe in vulnerability. I believe in, like, Brene Brown is like my personal hero. Like, I'm all about it. Let's have the conversation, right? But also, like, that's a pretty heavy speed to like always be driving at. And so I try to sort of mix it up. There are times where I'm really feeling something and I really feel like sharing it, and that's when I know that I need to post that day about it. And if it sticks with somebody, it sticks. If not, it's more sometimes a journal entry for me of like,
Right.
it's I'm thinking this, and not, really probably 10 times out of 10 somebody's going to connect, because we're humans and we're experiencing similar human emotion, whether it was last week or this week or next week. I posted a couple weeks ago a fairly long post, which isn't super like me. I will only post really, really long posts, maybe once a week, when I'm giving everybody like my Instagram live schedule, which is like, here's all the things I'm doing this week. Other than that, I keep it 1 to 2 paragraphs, maybe 3. But I posted this really long post about just needing a virtual hug, because I'm such an extrovert. Like, I'm like a level 10 extrovert, and I'm married to a really, really, really heavy introvert. And being in quarantine together, I love my husband, but I'm like, I miss my friends so much. I miss just like that friendship that feeds my soul, and my flower people that I'm just like, So I just was saying, hey, I just need a virtual hug today. I'm just having a really hard day, and this has been such a hard season. And I see you. I know you're going through the same thing, man. Can we just hug it out today virtually?
I love that post.
Yeah, I mean, that post was like, I think I had 100 comments and people just DMing me, and just this outpouring. And I wasn't planning out that post. I wasn't, overthinking what I needed to say to people to build engagement, or how do I get, I'm like, I'm hurting today, and I know somebody else is probably hurting too. And so I just want to share this because it's from my heart. And man, that post really struck a chord for so many people.
Yeah.
So there's some days I just want to celebrate flowers and the beauty of our work that we get to do, and to take pause and really like just share a flower photo of like, look at this flower, you guys. Oh my gosh. Like, okay, I'm in heaven, like, this is, there was a hashtag going around. I don't know if you remember this. It was a hashtag that said inappropriate feelings about flowers.
Yes, I saw
You remember
that.
that? It was like a little borderline, maybe not so professional, but I mean, I so resonated with that. I'm like, I want to marry this poppy. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I have, even after 20 years, I mean, flowers they get me excited like a child. I have a childlike wonder towards flowers and living, growing things. And so I want to celebrate that too sometimes. And I don't need to write 20 paragraphs about the beauty of nature.
Yes, exactly.
You can see it yourself, in this
Yeah.
picture. So I guess the answer for me is, think about how to serve your client, creating real content, but not every post has to be content driven where you're like, serve, 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 serve. Celebrate the beauty of weddings, celebrate the beauty of love, celebrate your own relationships and how you love it in your own family, right? Like, we're in the business of celebratory events, even in celebrating death, right? And the life of somebody through funeral work. So I think we can celebrate more on Instagram different moments of life, and not have to just be like driving educational. Like, for me, it's like, okay, Amy, I don't have to be constantly driving educational content. I can also just pause and be human, and be a mom, and be a friend, and be a wife, and be a mother, and all those things. And so what kind of makes up the tenets of your business? What are you passionate about? If you're about sustainability, that's a megaphone, that's a platform, that's a place to be talking about why you care about planet Earth, and why you care about our water and about cultivating more local relationships with growers, or why you care about, growing yourself, or whatever it is that is about your ethos. Celebrate those things. And so as you think about writing, keep it short. I think generally keep it short. I think these really long posts, this is proven, our attention span is going down and down and down and down. People want quick information. They want it sizable. They please put spaces between your paragraphs. I cannot read 4,000 words with no break in them. Like, please put spaces so it's easier to read. Bury your hashtags at the bottom, or you can put them in the post too. But if you're going to do this big block of copy, make it easy to read, just like you would be writing an email, right? And oftentimes this is a helpful tip, but I oftentimes am writing my caption, because some of you have written out something and something closes down and you're like, I spent 40 minutes on that and it's gone.
I often write my captions in like a draft email or like a note or something. I do it a lot just because of that issue. Yeah.
And the formatting's easier to see. If you write it in the app, it's just hard. I think it's harder to format. It's harder to kind of see what makes sense. And pause and reread it. You guys, I have been so bad about spelling errors this last few months. I'm like trying to I'm home full time with my kiddo. I'm like just trying to get dinner on the table. Like I'm trying to get it done. So check for spelling errors, check if it makes sense, reread it to yourself, and then post it and move on with your life.
Exactly.
This major anxiety that a lot of us have about this post being a make or break. Hey, guess what? People are going to see it for 2 seconds. They're going to move on with their life. Like, you have another opportunity the very next time you post. Like, it really doesn't define your business, yourself as a designer. Like, keep it professional. Please keep it professional. I see, I know it's your account. You can do what you want, but I really try to keep it like kind of generically floral related, and a little bit about my family. But I really get turned off when I see people go really heavy into politics, really heavy into their personal ideologies. Like, I'm not saying that can't be a part of your story. And I think it's important that you are true to what you care about. But as a business, you're appealing to a wide variety of people that want to do business with you. And at the end of the day, do all of your brides need to agree with you politically? Like, I highly doubt that that's going to happen. So right. I think keeping it pretty like PC is a probably an important aspect that I think. Also, like, you're representing our industry. Like, if you come out attacking clients and you come out being just a major grouch about stuff, and people are stupid and brides are greedy and blah blah blah, it's like, we're as an industry trying to survive, not just this incredible disaster, but it just doesn't make you look like a professional, and I don't think it draws people in. So I think some of those things are just general rules of thumb with caption writing too, that, just kind of keep it positive and PC. And if you're having a hard day, you can be honest about that. But generally, people don't want to just be like dragged down every day by people are chronic complainers
out there, that's for sure.
Yeah, for the chronic complaining, I'm like, unfollow. Yes. Like, I won't do it. Life is hard enough. I don't need your complaints to pack onto my already difficult one. Anyway, those are some thoughts.
Yeah, I had a few other things too. So, one thing that we try really, really hard is not to be salesy in our posts.
Yes.
That's a big thing. I'm a big believer in that. I do ask for sales stuff once in a while. I'm not saying not to do it. I'm just saying they don't all need to be that way. So come from it from a perspective of making a connection. Just like what Amy was saying, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a this and that. And that is connecting with people other than just your business. And people, when they hire you, they're hiring you for you. There's so many designers that can make floral designs, and there's many designers that have very similar aesthetics and all of that. That at the end of the day, people, they'll book you, they'll become your client because of who you are. So I think, making sure that's in part of writing your captions. And then Amy also brought up CTAs. CTAs are very important for this. And while engagement shouldn't be like, you shouldn't be freaking out about it, it should be something that you strive to improve over time. Again, I post stuff that gets like no engagement still to this day. And then I'll post stuff that gets like a ton of engagement. And I'm like, oh, what do I do with all this? It's so exciting. So, don't like, if you try something, especially if you try something new, or if it's not new, it doesn't matter. Don't like freak out, but there's different things that you can do to increase your engagement, so that way you increase, hopefully, your visibility within the algorithms and all that fun stuff. So like starting off with double tap if, and then relating to someone that's whatever you're going through, or click the link in the bio to blah, blah, blah. I see that used a lot. That's a normal one. Tag your friend that needs to hear this, that type of thing. So that way, again, just doing little things to increase the engagement, increase your visibility, trying to connect with those clients, trying to connect with potential future clients, I think is a good thing. And then we already talked about this too, but just being authentic to who you are and your brand, and write the way you talk, write the way your clients talk. And I think that's a good start. Again, whether it's short or long, I think it's good to kind of just test it out and see what happens. You might write some kind of micro blogging type of things, and those posts are doing amazing. But your image makes people stop, your caption makes people act. So that's, I think, how you need to think about it. And again, not everything has to be acted on, right? It could just be simple. Like you want them to like love your picture, ask for that love. It's okay. I want you guys to share this video. I ask for that, not every time we're doing it, but I ask like, hey, share this with your flower people, and I might get a couple more shares than I would have just naturally. So I think that's good. And also, like, when I'm posting things too, or even like just creating like email content and stuff like that, I think of it as like, I talked about this in Curate, like the jab, jab, punch type of thing. So like serve, and then ask, serve, ask, that type of thing. And it doesn't have to be 1, 2, 3. It can be whatever numbers and however you think that makes sense for you. But that's how I feel like social media would be a great tool to build your business, not just be there and be social, but to actually help build your business and get more clients.
Absolutely.
So, Amy, how do you figure out the best hashtags to use to get noticed?
Oh, it's such a big question. Okay.
Right?
So for a long time, I gave up on hashtags. I was like, this is too much work. I'm over it. I'm kind of circling back now, because I sort of see hashtags as more a private way to catalog my own work, not necessarily get found. I have not had a ton of, I won't say success, but I haven't had a ton of specific people tell me, oh, I found you as an educator through a hashtag yet. I just started though, again, because I'm like, okay, I got to get back on the bandwagon. You go through these like ebbs and flows of like, I don't want to do that anymore. Okay, fine, I'll do it.
Right.
So I think here's the thing about hashtags. Okay, real quick. So hashtags are a way, if people don't know what they are, right? They are a way to catalog information and posts throughout Instagram. If you use a hashtag that says love, hashtag wedding, hashtag beauty, right? Your post is going to be, if somebody types that afternoon, hashtag love, and you think they're going to find you, that's crazy, because you have 3 million billion people using hashtag love on their posts. So you don't want such a broad hashtag that your post just gets buried in that hashtag. They need to be relevant. And you have about 10, I think 10 to 12 is really an appropriate amount. I think way more than that. Instagram has started to actually do some things with people that are using like 20, 30. There's a cap on how many you can use. So you want to keep them relevant to the post.
Yes.
If you say hashtag Beyonce, hashtag Justin Bieber, because you're trying to get pinged, you will be buried, and you've just wasted an opportunity for a relevant hashtag. So think about it this way. Think about your hashtags like SEO Google searches, okay? When somebody sits down to type in wedding florist in so-and-so New Hampshire, right? And What are they Googling? They're going to Google white bouquets, spring flowers, spring centerpieces, right? This is how I think about hashtags. So I find that if you think of these very simple phrases, you want to keep them short and simple, sort of Googleable, if you will, words. Spring bouquets, pink wedding bouquet, pink wedding bouquets. You can research different ones. Like, so go to that hashtag, actually use it, follow the hashtag, and see what kinds of content comes up. You can
Right.
see if it's relevant to you. If it looks like there's nobody really using that, that could be an opportunity for you to dominate that hashtag. Use the hashtags again of your city and state.
Yes.
I'm in Alexandria, Virginia. If I was doing weddings right now, I would say Alexandria wedding florist, Alexandria flowers, Virginia florist. What are things that brides are sitting down at their computer and typing into their search engine? That is the key component of actually generating people finding you, not just like, okay, I did my hashtags for the day, I'm good. Like, there has to be some thought and some strategy put in, right? So do a series, like do your business. If you're Franconian flowers, have a hashtag that's Franconian flowers, or Franconian wedding flowers, right? Franconian florist wedding flowers, whatever your hashtag is, and then use it on appropriate wedding posts so that when a bride comes along to see that, she's going to, boom, get a whole catalog of your wedding posts, not what you ate, what was in your kale smoothie on Wednesday. Like, I don't care.
Right.
I'm a bride and I want to see pretty bridal photos of your work. And so we have to make it super easy for people to find these catalogs. So Amy Nicole Floral is like my body of work. It's like a running portfolio. Amy Nicole Teaches, my hashtag is every photo I post that has something to do with me teaching, whether it's about a workshop, a past workshop, a future workshop. Amy Nicole Teaches is like content or teaching content, educational content. So, right. So you want to sort of tie these things to these areas. Now, because I teach nationally and I do workshops around the country, it's harder for me to be like, Alexandria, Virginia floral educator, right? Because I teach in California, I teach in Texas, I teach it, so I have to be a little bit more broad in flower workshops, floral workshops, etc. So I think using these hashtags in a way that's relevant to your business is just really, really key.
Totally agree with everything that Amy just said about hashtags. I just wanted to throw in too, if you want to get a little bit fancy and really sit down and some more niche type of things, is to look at some personas. If you don't have personas for your ideal client, go ahead and do that exercise. I think it's good for every business to like, who is your ideal client? Define them, give them a name. What do they do for a living? Where do they go shopping? Do they have kids already? Do everything you can imagine about them, write that down. And then do a little reverse engineering. Find those hashtags that your dream client follows, that they actually care about. So it may or may not be relevant to your business, but that way you can create content that will connect with that and make sense in that hashtag. And then when you're searching for those hashtags, right? You've made those lists, you're searching for those hashtags, pay attention to the ones that are auto-populating that Instagram's giving you in that list and see, how many people are using them and then consider those, see if they fit, if they're what you're looking for. And then also just check out the top content in those hashtags. Again, see which ones really are resonating with your customers, the engagement, what people are saying. And then that's just going to help you build your hashtag document, your list that you're going to be using.
Yeah.
That's great. I don't know if you guys can hear the knocking, but I have my office is on like the outside walls of my house, and I have a woodpecker like right in front of me, like knocking on the wall, which is making my dog bark because it's craziness. But he's a really pretty woodpecker though. He has like a red head and the black and white feathers. He's so pretty. So sorry.
Oh no.
Little random tidbit that's going on in my life. I just have to have an animal interfere in some shape or form. It's on the outside.
That's the new normal now, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Kids like climbing on us and a dog like.
I know, that's always been my normal though. I've been working from home for like 10 years now. So I know.
You're a pro.
Yeah, I'm a pro and I'm getting old. That's what that means. All right. So let's talk a little bit about stories because I think stories are a really great way to increase engagement on social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram. And Amy, I know that you use stories a lot. How do you use that to increase engagement for your business?
I love that question. Stories are such a powerful tool. And if you don't know what an Instagram story is, basically they're these 10-second clips on Instagram. They're like little tiny videos. And they play one after the other sort of in succession. And they stay live on your Instagram page for 24 hours and then they expire. And then once they expire, you can go back and create highlights of different Instagram stories and basically have these little video clip highlights right underneath your profile bio. So that's what an Instagram story is if you're not familiar. But Instagram stories are a powerful tool to connect with your clients. This is really about telling a deeper story. So it's really the second layer, I think, of your feed, right? You've sort of figured out, who you are and what your brand is and what your messaging and who your client is. And Instagram stories are a way to take that relationship to the next level, right? It's about continuing the conversation even further. And I really do treat it very conversationally. I sort of talk to my phone as if I'm talking to the people that are on the other side listening. And I think
Right.
that's one way to think about it, because I think it can feel very awkward to talk into your phone and do these little stories. You're like, I'm staring at my face talking. Like it feels awkward at first. But if you think about, like you said, your persona, I used to be very generalized in stories. I would just kind of like launch a bunch of information. And after going through a lot of marketing training, I was like, man, I'm not talking to my client. My client is a florist, and it's a different exercise for me because my florist can come from so many different backgrounds. Her
Right.
socioeconomic or his socioeconomics can be different. They can live in a small town versus big city. So I serve like this much broader group of people. They just happen to all be florists. But when you do your exercise about who your client is and what kind of bride you have and who, what is she into, or what kind of shop you want to run, or what kind of studio you're creating or building, I do think it's important to kind of think about that person and talk to them in store and creating stories for them, and letting them know what you're doing and what life is like. We're very voyeuristic, right? This is part of why reality TV has had its heyday, is like we love pulling back the curtain and seeing, what other people are like and what are they doing. And so if you think about taking people behind the scenes, I know we're old enough, but some of our listeners may not be. But MTV, well, back in the olden days, had this show called Cribs, right? And they
Yes.
would yes, right, old school here. And they would have the show called Cribs, and it was like kind of one of the first more like reality shows where like celebrities were opening their homes. And I mean, we were just glued to our screens, like, oh my gosh, Britney Spears' jacuzzi, how, it's like, oh my gosh. So I think pulling back the curtain and having a Cribs like studio tour, doing a little behind the scenes of your employees, doing employee profiles. I think that personally, the people that I think do this best is Sweet Root Village. My friends at Sweet Root Village,
Yes.
they do such a powerful job. If you don't follow them, I highly recommend following them alone as a case study in how to use Instagram stories, in how to build your brand, how to involve your people in your employees, telling the story of your company, their moms, their business owners, their dog owners. They, really, really drilling into creating this narrative and talking to people. And truly and honestly, most people that come to my workshops have followed me on Instagram and have connected with me through stories, either through oh yes, thank you. There's such a case study in using stories well also, but stories are really an endless opportunity for engagement. Swipe ups are a powerful tool, and you do have to have over 10,000 followers to be able to use swipe ups, but you don't have to use swipe ups. You can put in little, like, take a quick survey, or what do you think this flower is? Those all keep people engaged and interested in what you're doing. Offering Mother's Day bouquets. Should we do pink and purple or pink and white? You choose, right? All the little stickers and gifts and all these fun little things keep people watching, they keep people interested. And to be honest, like, the DM box is where a lot of my engagement happens. I spend more time in DMs, which, if you don't know what that means, direct messages. It's basically the messaging function of Instagram. I spend more time in DMs than I spend on my email. every single day. I am in my DMs way more. It functions and works like my email inbox. And that can be challenging if you're running a business. You need to get people out of DMs and get them into like your workflow if you're actually like planning their wedding. But I'm just talking about relationship building. Some of my great collaborations, I've created great friends. Like Max Gill is a friend of mine. We've met one time, but we have DM'd each other for years. Like I know him because of DMs. Like some of my flower idols, like I have created relationships like through DM. Like I've been able to connect with people and talk about my workshops and talk about what I do through DMs. And so DMs really happen, I think, because you're doing stories. And so when you do a story and you're talking about something, I'll open the app and I'll have 10 people be like, oh my gosh, I love that plant. Or, oh, my kid did that too. And it's a conversation, right? And so if you're not using direct message, make sure you know how to use it properly. Hold on, let me grab my computer charger. I see my little battery's like,
That's okay, go ahead.
But just to finish that thought, Instagram stories is really a powerful tool. And I have some practical things I want to share about that, but let me come back after I plug in here.
Yeah, I love stories. And while Amy's grabbing her charger and talking a little bit about DMs, that reminds me, we didn't really talk about like business profile versus personal profile. I know there's arguments for both, but I'm a big believer in the business profile just because you get the, contact me button, you get directions button. It is connected to your Facebook profile when you do that. And you can manage your DMs in your Facebook inbox, which you can do on your computer. So that way, if you are at a computer like us and it's easier for you to type, because honestly, I'm awful at like typing on my phone. I make so many errors that way. It's just another tool that you can use on top of like if you have a business profile, you get the analytics, which again helps you improve what you're doing, sees who your followers are, helps you figure out some demographics of your community. Does it match what you think it is, and all that fun stuff? But I digress. Let's move back to stories.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm plugged back in. Somebody over here in the comments said something really important. She said, Penny Stone said, I have clients because of stories shared. Yes. I cannot tell you how accurate this is. Friends of mine booked their biggest wedding ever. Huge budget, massive floral budget, biggest wedding they'd ever done. And it was because of stories, because a planner had been watching their stories and knew they had solid work ethic. They were positive. They handled situations well. They were professional, right? Yeah. They weren't like going off on rants about something that they hated. They kept it positive. They kept it professional. They kept it honest, though. They talked about their hard days, but they weren't like complaining about everything in life on Instagram. And because of that, this planner literally said, I've been watching you on stories for a long time. I've been observing how you run your team. I've been observing who you guys are. And I'm entrusting this massive client to you. And so I cannot speak more highly of Instagram stories. People are watching them like TV now. We just sort of like mindlessly flip through stories now. And even if somebody doesn't watch every one of your stories, you're still showing that you're showing up. And I think that's an important component, is that if anything, I'm probably more active and more consistent in stories than I am on my feed. And I think that, again, a part of it is just, it's a conversation. It's a act of like, hey, this is what's going on. And then when I'm launching something, when I'm rolling a product out, I'm like talking about it a lot. It's my megaphone to say, hey guys, just a reminder, this is happening. Yes, I do email marketing, but that feels even less ingenuine. Like it just feels very like data, and here's the photos and here's the links. But if I can tell you about what I'm working on and why I'm excited and why it might be a good fit for you, that's a really powerful selling tool. And so if you're a bride and you're watching someone's stories, you're seeing their face, you're seeing their tone of voice, you're learning about them, and you're like, I will watch a story of somebody that I haven't seen do a story in a while. I'll watch a story and they're all of a sudden front of mind. And I'll think, you know what? They would be a really good fit for so-and-so. I should connect them. Like literally all day, you're staying in people's front of mind. So for Mother's Day, for Valentine's Day, as you prepare, I think a lot of wedding florists are going to start experimenting with what retail floristry looks like with the pandemic and the wedding industry changing. I think that's a good thing. And so as you sort of like navigate maybe some new waters and how your business is going to pivot and change, you have to speak to a more broad base of people now if you're looking for more of a retail client rather than like a bride, right? How do you do that? You do it through stories. You tell people about, hey, I'm a small business. I'm a mom. I got to pay for ballerina lessons. I got to pay for my car payment. Like, my business is changing, and here's how we're going to serve you now. This is how we're going to do. We're going to serve you through weekly subscription flowers. We're going to serve you through plants. We're going to serve you through this. We're going to serve you through this way. Like, here's all our new offerings, and you talk about them regularly, and people will buy from you. So it's a really, really, really powerful tool. And there's a lot more to say about stories. You know, one thing that you don't want to do is just ramble on and on and on. I used to do that a lot. You can tell I talk a lot. So I'm like, sorry, Yvonne, 3 hour interview later.
It's all good.
I will just go on and on and on in stories. And I recognize, you know, my drop off rate of when people would just be like, okay, I'm done listening, you know, was getting higher and higher. And I just thought it was so fun to make these 20, 30 long, you know, slides. And I just had more to say and more to say. And I think what I've realized is, you know, we need to keep it kind of fairly short. It's okay to have 5 or 10 slides about something, but if you're just going on and you're talking really slow, it's like, I want to kind of watch it and like
fall off. Then they're just gonna fall asleep. Like, okay, I'm done with that.
I'm done. I'm
ready for bed.
Swipe. So keep it specific. If you get really, really, really nervous, again, you don't start with showing your face. Show the photos, show your flowers, take a little video of what you're working on. Don't even hesitate to set up your phone for like a speedy, like a time lapse of you making an arrangement. People love watching these. Post your time lapse in your stories, post them on your feed. People want to see you creating. They want to know how you take care of your flowers. They want to know, you know, what your little pretty shelf looks like and what your inside of how you clean your cooler. Like, all of these things that we think are sort of rote and sort of everyday stuff is potential content that we could share with our clients. And it also shows them that we're professionals, that we know what we're talking about. It helps establish confidence in them to know that we're not just some basement Betty who doesn't know what she's doing. I mean, I know that's an old derogatory term, but like, you know, people have concerns if you don't have a storefront. They're like, well, are you going to show up? Or are you just some random that like decided to get into flowers one day and now you're going to take my $10,000 wedding? Like, do you know what you're doing? And I think that doing stories can actually really establish credibility with our clientele to say, hey, look, I got these flowers. Let me teach you a little bit about how I process these. Or, hey, let me show you what this flower is. I'm going to do a highlight on peonies right now because peonies are coming to season. Peonies do this. Buy yourself peonies. Buy peonies for weddings, blah, blah, blah. Showcase what you do know. Even if you don't feel like an expert, you know more than the general average consumer.
Exactly.
So, highlight what you know, and it helps to create that comfort and that safety that this client who's going to write you a pretty big check for their wedding, even at $2,000, that's a lot of money for a lot of people to pay for flowers. And so, you know, that may not be a lot of money if you work in luxury weddings, but for the average bride, you know, that's a lot of money to give a florist. And so, you know, create that relationship, create that security with them through showing them your expertise through stories.
Yeah, and I totally agree, and it's so true because everyone is looking you up. They are doing their research. They know so much about you before they even ever reach out to you. So to be able to create that comfortability, to make them feel connected to you, for them to already love you as a person before they even ever actually met you is so powerful. Yeah, so powerful.
That's by also, guys, how you get amazing reviews. That's how you get people referring you, right? Because it's not just about the one bride. She's kind of oftentimes a one-time client. Maybe she'll have a bridal shower or something, but you want her telling all her friends and family about you and everybody. You want her raving for years about you as her wedding florist. And so if you've established that relationship before you've ever sat down, not only do you have a higher booking rate chance with her and her family, but they feel like your family. I mean, it's bizarre. I spoke at Team Flower this year, and I'm walking through crowds, and people are like, Amy, oh my gosh. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so crazy. Like, people know so much about me because they've been following me on Instagram stories. And I'm like, yeah, why am I surprised by this? I put like my life on the internet.
Right.
But in real life, it can be a little jolting. You're like, oh yeah, dang. Like, people
It's very
really
strange.
yeah, people know a lot about you. Like, yeah. I love it. I love it. It's just like, it was so fun to connect with people in real life, but it was also like, dang, like you have a real opportunity here to control the narrative also around you. If you have had a few bad reviews, maybe you've had some flower issues, maybe you've had some shop issues, maybe you've had some employee issues. What a powerful way to sort of like redeem that by showing up on Instagram stories and showing people that you are a professional. Like, instead of going to Yelp and reading 1 or 2 bad reviews, if they're actually seeing how you talk and seeing how you engage and seeing your knowledge base, you can actually really fix some missteps that you've had in your business too. So it's a powerful tool from a competition standpoint. People want to feel confident that they're writing a check to somebody, or check. I mean, how old am I? But yeah, I guess we still use checks, right? But they
Venmo.
Yeah, they want to Venmo you. They want to feel confident in that Venmo transfer that, you are going to show up on their wedding day and execute, right? And you can do that with stories.
Yeah, just going back to like showcasing anything new. Amber says our clients are excited about our offering of graduation flowers. And guys, like during this COVID craziness, right? I have a 5th grader, and my heart's breaking that it's 5th grade. It's not even major graduation, and she didn't get to go to her 5th grade dance, and she didn't get to have her 5th grade graduation, and and the same thing for the people moving into high school, and then and obviously the seniors of high school. They're like, the senior that I do know, is she shows up to her high school by herself. Her parents cannot come in. She has her cap and gown. She puts it on. They're taking video of everyone going across the stage, and then they're putting that together, and that's their graduation. So it's depressing and sad. And so like flowers can make that better. Like I saw, is it Shauna Yamamoto? She's in California, and she's doing all these like front yard celebrations and graduations and proms. And if you guys, I talked about this before, but if you haven't gone to visit her, you need to, and just see what she's up to, and the way that she's capturing it and just getting people excited. And it's better. It's not like the real thing, but it's like it's about as good as you're going to get, and it's with event and flower design. So I love that. So I just wanted to bring that up, Amber. Thank you for sharing.
Love
Sharing. All right. We're talking about stories. I know you go live. I want to try and get through all of this. We have a few more questions, but I feel like it's also important. Do you still have time? Because I mean, we're going on like an hour and 45 minutes.
This is all I was going to do today. Thank God, because some of my days have been so packed recently, and I'm actually totally open.
The days have been crazy. So what is your strategy? Because you do go live often, and I did a whole thing about going live and how to go live with Allison and video content and how important that is. So guys, I'll put a link in if you want to check that out. And that was over an hour as well, because there's so much information. We didn't even go over everything. The same thing with Instagram. There's so much to talk about. But what is your strategy for going live, and how often do you do that?
Okay, so I used to go live a lot more in the past, and again, I got busy and I kind of got burned out with it, and I was like, I just need a break. So ebb and flow, lots of grace. So it's not something that you have to do, right? It's something that you can do. It's something that you get to do. It's like, does going live even fit with your comfort level, with your business model? Like, what do you have something to say? Do you have something of value, right? You just show up live and you're like super awkward and you're like, hey guys, like you're supposed to be there, like, cause Yvonne and Amy told you to do a live. Like, that's the wrong move, right? This is about, like, is it relevant, first of all? So I think that's the first thing, is deciding, does going live really make sense to me? And do I have a reason why I need to have a longer conversation, right? So we took our feed and we talked about stories, and live is really the much longer version of engaging, right, with people. And so it's building kind of an even deeper level of connection, and even deeper conversation with your followers and your clients, potential clients. So decide if it's the right move for you. Are you doing a good job on Instagram or feed? Are you doing some stories? And if so, I think you're ready for a live, in my opinion. It feels progressional to me, because I think you need to be somewhat comfortable with looking at your camera and talking. Otherwise, you just look like you don't want to be there. And if you don't want to be there, I certainly don't want to be there. So you need
But
to.
let me add to that. While you might not be comfortable and you might not be good at it, and you don't think that, you
That's
still
true.
need to start somewhere.
You do,
So
but stories, I think, is a slightly
yeah,
better place. If you are still
yeah,
doing stories and you're feeling uncomfortable, I think a live is going to be terrifying.
yeah.
The pressure to go live, because it's like people are watching you and you can see them jumping on and jumping off, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, no one wants to be here. I'm failing. Like, it's terrifying. I think it's terrifying. So I
It
think
is.
if you aren't feeling comfortable with stories, I think you need to wait, and I think you need to do more stories to get more comfortable. Once you're feeling comfortable with stories and you feel like, okay, I can show my face, I can do this, I feel good about, showing up and having this conversation. I've got some decent light behind me. I've got a decent background. I'm not like standing in a pile of dirty laundry trying to, engage with people. Then I think lives is a good option. So the way I sort of think about lives is, like, what do people want to hear about? What do they need to hear about? What could be helpful or useful to them? I never go on a live and just sell for 60 minutes straight, right? Like you were saying, I'm not just putting out my offerings. Okay, and here's how you buy, and here's what you should do, and this is blah 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 blah. I'm like, serve first. So, like, what are people interested in learning about? What do they want to hear about? What could be an interesting topic? And you don't have to go live for a whole hour. You could go live for 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 30. So maybe you start small, right? You have up to 60 minutes. Lives are a live streaming feed video, right, on your phone. Instagram notifies followers of yours that you are going live, and so it's helping you let people know. But the very first thing you want to do after you've determined that going live is a good option for you is to tell people when. If you just show up in a live, you're going to have very few people there. If you let people know ahead of time and let them know several times, and then let them know an hour before, a half hour before, you will really increase your engagement of people that actually show up and watch your live. Here's the point. The whole point of going live is to engage with people. So if no one shows up, it wasn't a super successful live, because they don't last more than 24 hours. Now you can save that video, you can turn that content into a YouTube video, you can turn it into an IGTV through your laptop. You can't do it through Instagram, but that content really is meant to sort of be this active thing where people are asking questions, you're engaging with them. I would do, if I was your audience and followers and I was still working wedding florist, I would be doing lives about answering people's questions about COVID. I would be answering their questions about fall planning. I would be answering questions about, focusing on the beauty of the moment and why flowers matter still, and why we still more than ever need to celebrate, and
Right.
why flowers are critical to our mental and emotional health. There's documented research about that. And so I would be going live talking about all of those things. As an educator, I go live teaching. I go live teaching segments on, this week I'm doing color theory. I'm hosting a special guest who's like an expert in 19th century floral design. Like, I love hosting. I'm starting to host other florists on my Instagram. And so it's also a great way to interview someone. So you could interview a local wedding planner, do
Right.
a live where you invite a photographer on and you guys talk about why imagery is so important, and how to hire a wedding photographer, what questions should brides ask. So
Right. And
there's
real
so
quick,
many.
on that part, I think that is really important, especially when you're trying to network in your local market and trying
Yes.
to expand your reach. Because when you do an Instagram live, it has your little live and their little live, and so those people will get to know you. So you're being able to connect with someone else's community that you might not have connected with already, which I think is amazing.
Yes,
One
100%.
thing I do like about Instagram Live.
Yes, I know. We were
There's a
sort of
lot that I don't. That is one thing that I do like.
Yvonne and I were harping on some of the tech challenges of Instagram Live.
Yeah.
Some of the limitations. We're like, come on, Instagram, man. I mean, all these people are using it. Billions of people on your platform. You can't make a slightly better, user-friendly thing. It's not ideal. You got the comments down below, and it's kind of like, okay. And the other day, I accidentally flipped the camera around. People saw my dirty kitchen. I was just like, oh god, this is a mess. You're like, oh boy. So it's not perfect, but they're just a couple of practical tips. This is one of my favorite tips. Okay, before you go live, make sure that your phone is either on a little tripod, so you can buy like an $8 or $10 or $12 little tripod on Instagram, on Amazon, or any local retailer, and buy one that has flexible bendy legs, so you can like wrap it around a chair or bend it onto something. Like, it's so useful.
Yeah, I have a link for some of that stuff in the video content blog that we did for Mornings with Mayesh. Yes, awesome.
If you don't want to buy something and you're super cheap like I am, which I do have both. Sweet Root Village taught me a trick with doing Instagram Live. They use a roll of tape. Oh, that's so cool. Yes, you're like fancy equipment.
Yeah.
They taught me this trick. I have one here. I'll show you. So I know your podcast listeners can't hear this, so I'll describe it. But literally, if you get a roll of like duct tape, it is the perfect size for your phone to sit in and be propped up. I stuff like a little napkin or something back here so it stays perfectly upright, and I can still swipe and touch it. So if I'm in a pinch and I don't have my tripod, you can use a roll of it. It fits your phone perfectly.
That's amazing.
And so you want it propped up. Okay, and then here's my other really key tip on this. Take a video beforehand. Okay, open your video camera app and take a short video. Stand in the place you're going to stand, talk at the normal projecting, don't yell, but don't whisper, like talk
Right.
like you would speak normally, normal volume. Check the light. Is there like a weird thing hanging over here by your head that you didn't even think about? I've had that happen. These are all real life things. So take a video, watch the video, and be like, oh, I should move a foot closer, or I need to move a foot back.
Check your frame. Yeah.
Check your frame.
And honestly, video is great, but the audio is probably the most important thing of a video. Like, if you have crappy audio, then gotta redo.
Or not do it in front of your like floral cooler if you need to unplug it, or you need to go do it in a different room. I asked my husband right before we jumped on, like, oh, hey, can you just make sure the washing machine, like the dishwasher's turned off, and that my toddler's playing downstairs, it's like the air conditioning's off, so that as many little distractions as possible. I put my phone on when you're doing a live, make sure your phone is on airplane mode and do not disturb, so you're not getting calls and text messaging, ding, 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 and coming through. And so also make sure that your phone is fully charged before you start an Instagram Live. So many times people have started in the middle of it, their battery goes out and then it's gone. And yeah, so these are just some basic things. I mean, there's so much more we could share, but some basic tips to kind of get started.
Very good. How do you measure social media success? How do you know it's working for you?
Sales. Yep. Sales. Listen, the point of social media is, I think, to sell.
Sure.
Have a business. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be on social media as much, but because I have a business, it's the only reason I got on social media. I was very anti-social media. I was not interested in putting my life out for the general public. I was actually a fairly private person. I did not have Facebook. I didn't even have a smartphone all through college. I was like not interested. It felt very sort of, I don't know, it just felt like it was for the young kids. And I was like, not into it. And so when I started my business, I had a 25-year-old come and work for me, and she really taught me how to edit. I mean, literally, you guys, I asked one time, she's like, oh yeah, are you going to edit that photo? I am not kidding you. I looked at her, I was like, I don't know what that means. I like studied photography. Like I went to a photography classes in college and I was like, what are you talking about? On my phone, edit a photo? Like it didn't even, because I mean, I went to, this is how old we are. I went to in college and we were still doing like, processing our own film. Like when you take a photo, you know, you process it in chemicals. I did not know what she was talking about. She downloaded Visco onto my phone and was like, look, grandma, sit down. I'm going to teach you how to do this. And she taught me. And it was so embarrassing. It's like, I'm the expert. I'm the business owner, right? And I'm like, oh, you know, with my cane, like, help me. So she taught me how to use Visco. She taught me what a filter was. Like, guys, I don't think a lot of us grew up with this stuff in our hands. We have to learn it. Like you said, Yvonne, you're self-taught. So am I. Like, we got to figure it out.
Got to figure it out.
You got to figure it out.
Yeah. So for me, like measuring social media success, obviously I do pay attention to engagement. I want to make sure that what I'm putting out is what people want to see and consume, and we want to help educate and entertain and inspire and all of that fun stuff. But I do like ask how people found us. Like, so when all of this, everything that we're doing is getting people into your funnel. If you don't have a funnel, that's what I talked about at Curate's conference. I did talk a lot about that for a podcast episode that hopefully will be coming out very soon with Christina Barragon. And I can do one eventually soon too, but it's getting people into the funnel, and that's the most important. And it's probably the most unsexiest part of social media, right? But it's so important. It's how you build those sales with everything that you're doing, because this isn't just for fun. It is. You are a business. You need to generate revenue. You need to get clients. And so you need to get people into that funnel. So you need to have an amazing website, and you need to be tracking how people are getting to that website if it's just Google Analytics, that's fine. You also need to be asking people how they found you. So that way, you know about that as well. And that may or may not match up with your Google Analytics. People might say different things, and they might have come across you many different ways, which is a great thing. That's a good problem to have. So yeah, for just the basic stuff, I think that's what you need to at least measure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and see like how many leads you're getting from social media. And then also kind of paying attention to all the other different referral routes of getting in your clients, and then also paying attention to like what type of client, the demographics of those clients. Yeah, all those fun things. So I think that's a good way to get started. Again, that could be a whole episode all by itself.
Easily.
Real quick, do you spend money on social media ads?
I don't.
No?
I have in the past. I've definitely explored. I've done some Instagram ads. I haven't seen a lot of it generating sales. I don't get like randoms just jumping on my account. What I've seen the most growth from lately is Pinterest. Right now, because my website is in the middle of being redesigned, we are not driving people to the website because there would be a bunch of broken links. So the blog content, I have tons of blog content written. It's just not posted yet. So we can't direct people from Pinterest right now directly to workshops. I believe that when that changes, I will get more cold leads. I will get people who are looking for floral education that don't follow me on social media that will find me and want what I have. Right now, most of my sales come through Instagram, come through people who follow me, come through YouTube. And so I haven't spent I've looked at Facebook ads. I know it's complicated. I know that it's a building process. You can spend a lot of money on Facebook ads and not see any fruit from that. And so I think you have to be really careful with Facebook ads, but I do think that they're valuable. I think that they're just something I need to learn more about before I sort of explore that. I know my friend Passion Flower Sue does a ton. I see her ad all the time. And so I know she's killing it on Facebook ads and Instagram ads, because obviously they're owned by the same company, they are the same. And so there is value, I think, in spending money. I just think that you have to be really strategic about it. And I think you kind of need to know what you're doing. I just wouldn't start throwing up ads.
I think getting really good at the organic is a great way to get started. We also hardly spend any money on ads. I'll do it once in a while, like if I have a workshop coming up and I want to make sure it's getting out like to everyone that could possibly know about it. But I mean, it's literally maybe a couple $100 a year. Like it's nothing, like nothing. And we're like a huge company,
Yeah, Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
we go all organic. And so I just wanted to bring that up because I feel like people get pressured. I do see like other marketing kind of guru people saying, you know, this is a free platform. You might get buried by the algorithms. You might need to spend the money. But I think you just get good at the organic and see what works and doesn't work, and it will grow. So I don't think you have to spend money on ads
Well,
because we don't.
and Christina says this well too. Christina's also a good friend of mine. I've just been in awe of her marketing over the years. She's such a
Yep.
marketing beast.
Yes.
10 years she's been doing marketing like in her business, and it's been wildly successful. But to her point, you know, if you have really good systems set up, if you're awesome with your systems, and she's a good person to go to for that kind of stuff too, but like if you have your system set up, or you have this funnel, like you said, you're talking about bringing people into the funnel, generating new leads, generating warm leads, really building, you know, your email marketing strategy and all of these in your Pinterest platform. Like if you have this sort of systems of your business set up, I don't personally think you have to spend a lot of money on ad revenue, because you really are sort of, you have this kind of thing, that's this machine that's kind of working, and it's every time somebody comes into your business or interacts with your business, and you're bringing them into your funnel, and you're connecting with them and serving them, and you're kind of taking them through your workflow, your booking rate is going to go up because you have a more streamlined process. It's more cost efficient, it's more labor efficient, it looks more professional for the client experience. And so it's a win-win situation to kind of focus on investing in these systems and processes. It's something I need to work on. Passion Florist too, like I keep bringing her up, but like she hires this out. She doesn't manage this on her own. So, you know, there may be somebody in your business that you can partner with. Maybe your husband or wife is really good at this, or a partner or a cousin or a nephew, if you can't pay a bunch of money, that can help you. But also, like, if you can invest, it's worth setting these systems up in your business, using things like Curate, using things like email marketing to capture email addresses. These are really powerful ways to sort of avoid just spending all this money to try to get the word out. It's like tighten up your systems and business so well so that the leads that you do generate are going to be a much higher booking rate, and it's going to be a more solid way to connect with your clients. So yeah. I think that's the first step.
I love it. And I think that is a good way to end our show, guys, because social media, growing your business, getting people into your funnel, give you a whole lot to think about. And, you know, don't be overwhelmed. Like Amy said, start just with baby steps. It doesn't have to be perfect. I didn't start with everything. I've talked about this so many times. Like, it's not like I came out and this is exactly what we're doing. I mean, I'm still not where I want to be. You know, it's always a constant evolving thing. So we're here for you. I know Amy's here for you. I'm always here for you. If you guys have questions, again, this will be all posted on our blog, up on YouTube, I got to split this into Instagram as we're going over 2 hours, guys. We're at like 2:02. My little ones are going to be like, I didn't eat lunch. And I'm like, sorry. It's that kind of day, guys. It's kind of that kind of day. So I don't know. I just want to thank, because we still have over 30 people watching. So you guys are frigging rock stars. Thank you for hanging with us. Yeah. Amy, thanks for coming and joining me for 2 hours, much more than what you bargained for right now.
I love it.
And before we go, what is something that you want to share? I know you do lots of education. What do you have going on?
Yeah, so during quarantine, I've been going live 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, all at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my Instagram, and which is at Amy Nicole Floral. And they're just free ways to talk and engage and teach lessons and stuff. So Monday is a kids floral design lesson. I do it with my son, my 6-year-old, and we do a kids floral design lesson. It's been awesome. I've had so many parents join, and I also regular florists show up too, but it's just been a really fun way to kind of break it up and involve him in what I'm doing. Wednesday at 3, I'm going to have a guest that I love that is, I think, making an impact in the floral industry, maybe doesn't have 100,000 followers, but has a lot of experience or something to say that is meaningful. So this week's host, my friend Dr. James Del Prince, runs MSU Extension in Biloxi. I think he has 200 Instagram followers, but He is a highly published author, a PhD, horticulture expert. He is incredible. And so I am excited to bring him on and introduce people to what he's working on and researching and what he's writing and all of his work he's doing in the floral industry. So it's just a fun way to also, kind of introduce people to people I'm inspired by in the floral industry. And then Friday I do a lesson. So this week's on color theory. Last week it was on like quick Mother's Day bouquet wraps and how-tos around that. Because Instagram Lives don't live forever, they most of them are recorded and put in my Facebook group. I really have not had the time to create IGTVs out of all of them, so I keep getting asked, but I only have so much time. Right. So they're right now all in my Facebook. Most of them are in my Facebook group, which is a free Facebook group for florists. So everybody's welcome to join that if they use flowers or work with flowers or anything like that. And so they can rewatch those videos there. I also have a YouTube channel with, again, just like under 5-minute videos about like basic floral how-tos. And then I am teaching workshops. So I have my workshops, in-person workshops, Lord willing, right? We're like, I know Yvonne and I have been commiserating over our major changes that we're dealing with these. But I have a hands-on bouquet intensive that I'm really passionate about. It's a 1-day bouquet intensive. I teach 2 different styles of bouquet making and really building confidence in bouquet work from a technical place and also just like the modern trend of kind of what this lucenary look is. And then I have a really big 3-day workshop, which is pricing, design, marketing, business, sales, we deep dive into centerpiece, bouquets, all of that. So that's happening at the end of July in DC. We have 6 people coming. We're hoping and praying that it can still happen. We're going to keep it under 10. So we think we should be okay. But and then I'm doing a virtual workshop like a lot of us are kind of pivoting to. My first one is sold out at the end of May, but my June 6th still has a few seats, and basically shipping people flowers for my 1-day bouquet intensive, and they're going to make them in their home, and we're going to do it in a 5-hour Zoom call. And I'm going to teach 2 different styles. It's basically all the same content as my in-person 1-day bouquet intensive, but it's just virtually. So we're going to try this out, and I'm excited, a little bit nervous, but I'm like, I clearly have no problem talking for hours and hours and hours. So I think it'll go really well. And so, yeah, I'm just hopeful that the workshop stuff can get back on track. I know, there's just, I love connecting with people in person. I'm a very hands-on teacher and a very much like engaged teacher. And so I really love the personal connection, but this is the world that we're in right now. And so I still want to be able to bring value to people where they're at and where I'm at, which is at home. So yes, that's kind of all the offerings I'm giving right now. And I'm excited to just keep connecting with our community.
Awesome. So I posted your Instagram link, your Facebook group link, and the Linktree link. So that has all of the workshop stuff in there too for you guys. So check it out. And that's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much for spending the last 2 hours with us. Our next scheduled show is for next Tuesday, May 19th at 11 a.m. Eastern with Allison Ellis of Real Flower Business. And we're going to be talking about websites. I mentioned it a little bit. It is so important, guys. Your Instagram, by the way, can get hacked and it can go away in a heartbeat. So please do that. All the authentication, all the security measures that you can do, even if it's a pain in your butt, do it. But yeah, you need to have a good website. You have to have content on in your home. So we'll talk about that and just other good tips and tricks and yummy stuff for you guys. In the meantime, if you have questions, as always, please feel free to shoot me an email. You can DM us, or you can use our contact form on our website. It all comes to me. So it's all good. However you want to communicate, we're there. And again, I know we're still going through some trying times, guys, and we are in this with you. We are definitely going to get through this. And Mother's Day, again, was such a breath of fresh air and such a ray of hope and sunshine. So I'm hoping you guys are all soaking that in with us. And again, I wish you nothing but health and happiness for you and your loved ones. And I will see you next week. Bye, everyone.